Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here, Golden Opportunities Coaching. Welcome to those of you who are new. Welcome back to those of you who are seasoned veterans of what we do around here. What we do around here is we bring about social, emotional, and coaching-related topics for you to discern and kind of go through. Hopefully, something helpful for you. If you like what you hear, please comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff, all the good YouTube stuff. And today we're going to talk about what makes a person a little too immature for a relationship. Immaturity is certainly a relationship killer. We're going to talk about 7 or 8 things that are signs of relationship immaturity. And unfortunately, if you're dealing with one or more of these on a consistent basis with your partner, then ultimately there may be an end to the relationship in your future, mainly because a person who is immature does not have the emotional capacity to view the relationship in the long haul the way that you do, and reaching the goals and milestones for the relationship, if the person is not willing to work on their immaturity, becomes virtually impossible. The first thing is immature people are guided by emotion, not logic, and emotion, not the overall best interest of the relationship. So this can seem fun in the beginning. An immature person may be impetuous, they may be impulsive, they may take more risks than the average person. And when you're first meeting someone and they're just willing to throw everything at the wall and be very passionate and excited, then that can be fun, right? You get swept up in it. However, when that comes into negative emotions such as anger, sadness, depression, paranoia, frustration, and all other forms of negative emotion, this becomes problematic because the person is guided by those negative emotions. And no matter what you do, no matter what you say, no matter how you behave, you're always guarding against their next emotional outburst, which is super, super difficult. And that's guided by the central fact that these individuals take everything personally. The realization that not everything is about them and the world doesn't revolve around them usually for an immature person does not dawn on them. Therefore, if you make a comment about, hey, I like another color better, they hear it as you think I'm ugly when that's not what you said. And so the misinterpretation of what you said and your intention and your meaning becomes centered around being personal against the other individual, and you're constantly having to filter what you say to this person so they don't react negatively, so that you don't get into fights. So you spend more time actually having conversations with yourself before speaking with your significant other, because you're constantly looking for ways to make sure that they don't take things in a negative light, and that can be exhausting. And most people, the majority of people, don't want to do this. The people that are willing to do this often have been in abusive relationships, and it becomes a habit. It doesn't make it any more palatable or comfortable. It just means that they're used to doing it, and they think that's a part of a relationship. But sooner or later, they will burn out, and it doesn't end well. These individuals are not self-aware. They are in complete denial about the problems that they have, and they may think of themselves as the exact opposite of how they come across. So a person who is intolerant may see themselves as the most tolerant person ever, who doesn't have any outbursts at all. They are individuals who are calm and rational in their own mind, because the problem with immaturity is even an immature person has the ability to rationalize their behavior, even though that rationalization doesn't make sense to you or I or most of the free world. It does make sense to them. And so when you're saying, hey, that doesn't make sense, they're looking at you going, you're judging me, you're condemning me, you're being mean to me, when in reality you're looking at them going, no, I have no intention of doing any of those things. You're just illogical here, and they can't see the logic holes. And if you can't see it, you can't work on it. And if you can't work on it, things don't improve. So it's very, very uncomfortable. The next in the line is the blame game. Personal responsibility and immature people do not go together. A matter of fact, you might as well say they're about as averse to each other as a cat and a bathtub. And people who are not mature are constantly looking for someone else to blame because they can't conceptualize that something could be their fault, or that the need for personal responsibility trumps the need for how they feel. So they care about how they feel so much that personal responsibility and actions and consequences are things that pass them by and pass them over, and thus having a relationship with them is extremely difficult because they're not willing to grow and change and modify behavior in order for the relationship to become the central focus of what's motivating them. The next thing is the realization that control is what they're seeking in almost every situation. This can mean control of who you spend time with, control of what you look at, control of what you watch on TV, control of how you dress, how you think, and every other aspect of your life. When they have control, that means they don't have to confront the negativity and discomfort of negative emotions and negative experiences. However, that means that the relationship becomes a performance rather than a partnership. And sooner or later, you are going to want time off that particular stage. When you do, things fall apart because they're so used to you being susceptible and easily persuaded that when you do, they're going to take it personally, back to an earlier point, and in their mind, often it means you don't care about them as much as you used to, or you're not loving them, or whatever the case may be. The next reality there's passive aggressive nature to things. So passive aggressive things can be something as simple as the silent treatment, or something more veiled like sarcasm and dark humor. A passive aggressive person is often immature because they don't know how to sit down and have a more serious heart to heart conversation. And while passive aggressive behavior is something that we all do from time to time, if we've been hurt and we haven't processed the emotions yet, a person who lives their negative emotions through passive aggressive nature ultimately will burn you out because you don't feel like you're ever getting to the root of any challenge or problem. This means that the problem can't be solved, and therefore the individual is more a burden and liability than a partner that you can build with. The last thing on this list is possessiveness. A person who is in love with you for the right reasons and emotionally mature wants you to have your own self-identity away from them. Even if they want to spend as much time with you as they possibly can, they understand that spending every second with you, A, isn't healthy, and B, will annoy both of you sooner or later. However, an immature person, or a person who has stunted growth issues, does not see this, and they become extremely possessive. The possession of you and your time and your energy and your effort and your love and affection to them is a sign that they A, have control, and B, aren't going to have to confront the discomfort of losing. That possessive nature can even lead to social isolation and abuse in extreme circumstances when negative consequence is the central force behind them not having control of a situation. So these are things and signs that you're dealing with an immature person. If you are dealing with an immature person, I encourage you to get some assistance because you didn't end up there by mistake, which ultimately means there's a weakness that was exploited in your relational psychology, which ultimately can lead to a lot of challenges and trouble when a person doesn't understand how they wound up there to begin with. Getting coaching around this issue can be helpful. Please feel free to drop me a line here on YouTube or on Twitter at PO Perception if this is a challenge you'd like to confront to better your quality of life. Until next time, keep your feet on the ground, your mind in the moment. Until next time, everybody.